Hi, welcome to Classic Car Code. So I've done a bit of checking on the parts that we need for the Track Mini, and basically the parts come to around about £1,000, including the VAT. But there are some things. So fortunately, I can get most of this stuff through MED, who are well known in the racing side or the fast road cars, or just for real quality parts. Some of this stuff's quite expensive, but it is good gear, and a lot of stuff that was in this engine was from MED anyway. So basically we are going for 4 brand new liners. Now, my understanding, I spoke to a guy called Steve Colburn who works at MED, and he was into the Mini S's, I think it is. So I think you've got Mini Miglias, some special classes and so on and so forth. And I talked to him about the car being, a 12-to-1 ratio, and I said, but I thought, which I think seems quite high. And he said, and I said, but the Miglias, which are the top race minis, are 11-to-1. He said the only reason they're 11-to-1 is because that's what they're allowed to have, because obviously the engines are sealed and they're checked, that everybody's got the same. This is why the racing is so close in the Miglias and S's and whatever. I think there's 2 or 3, I can't remember the other one. There's another group, there's 3 groups I believe. But this is why the racing's so tight, because they're restricted to what they can have. They have to have certain things, and they all have to be the same. And that's the only reason. And a 12-to-1 is okay for the kind of thing we were going to do originally as far as hill climbing is concerned, where it's short, sharp. And as I said, the same with the differential. We had a 3.7 diff in this, which gave us very, very quick acceleration, but not so much top end. So what we're now looking at is going for either a 3.4 or a 3.1 diff. Now, I spoke to Stephen Colburn, as I said, and I explained the situation that we're now doing circuit racing, not hill climbs, and we're not doing sprints. And he thinks the 3.1, and I'll show you, I'll put a graph in here to show you, this is from Max with a 3.1 in it, and it's only showing you RPM and kph, or kilometers per hour rather than miles per hour. Miles per hour. And that's all well and good, but Stephen thinks the 3.1 with the cam that we have, this scatter cam, might not be the way to go. He said to me something like an XT Piper 280 would be better. So whether we go for a 3.4 diff and go in between a little less final power or speed, but we can still get some of that acceleration, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to talk to Max about it. But all in all, we'll go for 4 new liners, and I believe they come as a 1275. We will then bore them out to 1293. 4 brand new Omega pistons, and we'll have dish pistons in it, which are, I believe, 6cc. I believe that's the cup, or the dish on the piston is 6cc, which will bring down the compression ratio quite a bit, so that'll help there. Obviously we need a chromatic gasket with it, which is they're quite expensive. They're about 110, 120 pounds. But we need the chromatic gasket we need is for dry decking, because we have a dry deck on this. I was thinking about, Stephen's mentioned that maybe a good idea to go for a Davis Craig pump. But I've been doing some research on it, and the problem with them is you can't use the side radiator, which we have. You have to use a front radiator, and the cost of that is, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth doing it. For what we're doing as 2 old men in our 70s, we're not kids, we're not going to race this every weekend, or it's 3 times a year if we're lucky. So I think that might be something that I probably won't bother with. But fortunately they have all these parts on the shelf, so what I'm going to do now is I've contacted my partner in the car who lives in Dubai permanently, and we're going to order the stuff up So basically with everything that we have to do, we're talking like €3,000 to get it done, because obviously there's Max's pay as well, plus we have to change the diff, the gearbox needs stripping just to make sure there's no metal or any pieces left in it, check all the bearings. If we're going to go to this point, fortunately all the main big items like the crank, the block, everything, the cylinder, everything seems to be good, but we're going to obviously change all the shells, the big ends, the mains, everything. Because if we stripped it down to this point, it would be stupid and a bit foolhardy to put back put the stuff into it. Might as well start with a brand new build again completely. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'll get that ordered up, and I'll pick this stuff up in March, and obviously then we have the engineering done on it. The liners will be taken out, the new ones put in, reboard. And as I said, we'll make it 1293, so that gives us, between 1293 and 1310, it's nothing. So that'll give us another chance. If anything goes wrong, hopefully it won't, it'll last us out. It'll last Joseph and I out, the other owner. And hopefully keep it, you know, so it's we can use it for many, many seasons still, and get some enjoyment out of it, because unfortunately we haven't had, although we've had it, what, a number of years, 3 years, we've really done very little mileage in it. I wouldn't think, I would think probably less than 500 kilometres, 600 kilometres at tops, really.
Fortunately, the weather's really good over the next couple of days, and then it goes back down again, so we're up in the 12s, 13s, but then unfortunately it's gone back down. So I've got 2 days really to get this finished up. You can see it's pretty good. It's done here, but I've got to get inside these towers, and as you can see on the back here, there's still quite a bit here of rust. So I'll get all that done, and then get it all done in hammerite, and so that we can actually fit that into the Mk3, because we need this to line up the front of the car to make sure it's right. So I've got everything we need to line it back up again, but I will wait until my friend Martin comes over in about 10 days time, because what I've got to do is I've got to take out the jig that I've used for all the cars, for all the big restorations that I've done, and it's a bit heavy on my own. It takes a little bit of moving around and hammering. I don't want to do my back in, so I'll show you what I mean in here. It's just the garage would turn into a bit of a paint shop. Just put some power on it, and you can see there that I need to take this jig off because I want to make sure all this front is all lined up. One of the first things we'll do is make sure that the windscreen fits, so we can get that front panel in, and yeah, get the jig out of the way, because I need to get into the boot as well as the front. The problem is this bar that I put through the centre, that has to come out, because I need to be able to put the bonnet on to line up the wings and the A panels and everything else. Plus we've got to get to the boot anyway, so I'll take both sides off, but it takes a bit of a struggle on your own, even with the weight off the car. So with 2 of us, there's less chance of hurting ourselves or hurting my back. So that's what we'll do, and then we can get this front completely on, get it all lined up, see where we are, and everything's ready to go. And yeah, hopefully that'll work out and we can get everything in place, because we're pretty much there on the bodywork. I think everything's just about done. So if we get all that lined up, that scuttle, unfortunately, that is a heritage scuttle. The sticker's still underneath it, but we're going to have to make sure it's lined up properly here, and there's a few issues on this corner here, so we might just kind of drag this out a little bit. So a bit of an issue there on the corners, and obviously you don't want to go too deep in, because otherwise then the rubber will sit over here and it'll look wrong. So yeah, we just need to make sure that the window fits in it. So what I'll do is I'll take the window, and I have an old rubber. I don't have a new seal for it, but I have some old rubbers, and it's an easy way to just pop it in and just segment it. You know, I have it in like 6 or 7 pieces, or 8 pieces, whatever, and then just pop it in around the sides, and it's easy to put the screen in, and it gives you a really nice visual indication of where it's tight and where it's not. Whereas if you put the rubber in, you're not sure where it is tight. And it's an old one anyway, so no big deal. So that's the plan. While Martin's here, Martin and Lorena here, is we've got a lot of stuff to do, but get it off this jig, get it onto this hydraulic pump here. I'll just extend it so it goes right across the bottom. We can get the front and the back done, and once that's all in place, I can actually put the jig back in, because obviously we want to rotate it to paint it and so on and so forth. So we will put it back on, but this has been made so that the landing panel comes underneath here, so it doesn't interfere with painting. Just can't put the bonnet on. I want to take it out just because of the bonnet. It seems a faff, but it's the only way to do it right, because you need to make sure each panel is correct. Otherwise, you know, you start and you make a mistake and you take it to the other side or the back. So you've got to make sure that everything's lined up correctly, and then we can mark where it is and get it welded into place. So that's the next job. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry it's not showing too much, but there will be more to come. The weather's going to get a bit better, and it'll give me a chance to get outside and get on with some work. But as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and be good to each other. Bye for now.